State lawmakers on both sides of the aisle taking questions today about tariffs and the impact on Wisconsin during a forum in Grand Chute. New at 4, Jason Zimmerman was at the event with business leaders. He's live on our Fox Valley Newsroom with more. Jason.
Bill, over the past few days, this has been a top concern, and legislators say they've been hearing from voters who've seen losses in their retirement plans or businesses fearing these tariffs will drive up their cost. Today, Republican Representative Dean Crawford of Neenah and Democratic Senator Kristen Dazzler-Elfine of Appleton attended a legislative forum hosted by the Fox Cities Chamber of Commerce at Werner Electric. While tariffs are a federal issue, the impact will be felt across the board. Locally, Winnebago County is the largest exporter of goods to Canada, and Outagamie County is tied for second in the state. This is people in both the agriculture and manufacturing sector seeking a sense of stability, which many say is absent right now.
Here's a tariff, no there's not. Here's a tariff, no there's not. That's killing us, right? Again, a more specific conversation on here is the problem, here is a solution, here's how it will affect us would be a palatable thing for business owners to deal with.
I think the laundry goal is what it's all about. The problem is how swiftly they're moving, and the stock market and people's pensions and 401ks, that's weighing heavily on people's mind. And so, these people are a little concerned, and rightfully so.
Tonight at 5, find out what advice these legislators are giving businesses and consumers as they prepare to deal with the potential impact from these tariffs. Reporting live in the Fox Valley Newsroom, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.